about to leave, already packing. Come with me, I'm not really asking.
So, you join me for a ride out on the Honda PCX 125 2018 build. Thank you very much, that's very kind of him. So yeah, just a little evening ride round, been some glorious weather, and thought it'd be a shame not to go out on an evening. There we go. So, if you've never watched my previous video, I did a review video about the Honda PCX 125 2018, this bike. Just did an initial review, just to really explain what the bike was about and stuff like that. And really, it was just a way of giving a bit of an introduction to the video. And this is more of a hands-on riding. The idea is this is going to give you a little bit more of a taste of what the video, or what the ride I should say, is like from a rider's perspective, because the first video that I did was basically done on well, it was done from a mobile phone, so I couldn't really record whilst I was using that. So this is hopefully looking quite good through a GoPro, and hopefully the audio sounds quite good. I really hope it does. I've gone to a bit of effort to try and make sure it does. Recording on a Zoom H1, no less, and syncing the audio up in post-production afterwards. So hopefully it's worthwhile. So just a 30-mile-an-hour road here, and the scoot's doing a really good job of soaking up any of the bumps, which hopefully you can, you'll probably hear the bumps in my voice, but hopefully it's quite evident from the video that there's not a huge amount of sort of camera shake, hopefully, which kind of shows you that the suspension does quite a good job considering how bumpy some British roads are. So we're just going to have a little ride out, probably more towards sort of some of the nicer areas. So comfortably keeps up with 30 to 40 mile an hour traffic, no bother whatsoever. To be honest, when I was commuting home today, there was a 600 Yamaha, I think it was, in front of me, and he wasn't making any more progress than I was, really. So I think it's quite telling that on a commute, the 125 actually works really, really well. I don't know if you can read out on the screen there. I don't know how clear it's going to be, but currently I just filled up about 30 miles ago, and currently I'm doing 147.4 miles to the gallon. It is astronomically good on fuel, like ridiculously good. And with no traffic tonight, it'll probably go up 148.6 now. So it's absolutely crazy how good this thing is on fuel. Costs you about £8, 8 UK pounds to fill up. And one of the things that helps that is the idling stop system, which I talked about in my previous video, but you might be able to hear it. So I'll come to a stop. And the bike is now cut out. And all I have to do to start it is twist the throttle. So here we go. And we're off. And I'm up to 30. So it really is quite smooth. This is particularly good on the start-stop because it doesn't use a starter motor. The way the Honda PCX works, it uses I think it's like the stator arm or something. It's basically on the side of the engine, and it works pretty much instantly. There's really not a huge amount of delay. If you really want to tear away from traffic lights, then you need to leave it on idling, and there's no delay at all. Instant power available. And it's all relative, as you can imagine. And this is no 1000cc bike. You'll see in a minute the top speed nudges over 60 to 70, but it really, really isn't a speed demon. by any stretch. But on a country road in a minute, on this de-restricted national speed limit road, you'll see it'll accelerate from 30 up to 60 miles an hour fairly comfortably. There's no reason to be disappointed with it. So here we go. So national speed limit, currently doing 30, wind it on. Going uphill as well, that's 40, 45, 50 miles an hour now. And it'll get obviously a little bit slower, but we are going uphill as well. So once this flats off, here we go. So 50, 55, 60 miles an hour. Obviously, probably the wind noise is probably more than anything else. 66, 68, 69. That's pretty much the lot, especially with how windy it is today. But yeah, works really, really well. You know, it'll keep up with traffic. I mean, yes, I was pinned open there, no denying it was flat out. But I am quite a heavy guy. I'm nudging the top end of 15 stone, nearly 16 stone. So it is definitely, you know, my weight probably has a bigger bearing than anything else. I'm also 6'4", so I stick out quite a lot from the bike. So it probably doesn't help with the aerodynamics. I love the biker camaraderie you get. As a new 125 rider, you know, being on a bike and having everyone nodding to you and, you know, giving you that just reassuring nod, I'm pretty confident that if I had a breakdown or I was stuck, that somebody would actually come and help me, if I'm honest, or at least check I was all right. Are we colourblind? But yeah, the only upgrade that I've done to the bike, really, other than this Givy mount, or Jivy, however you say it, which is for my phone holder, which I'm not using tonight because I don't need sat-nav. I'm just going to ride around wherever I want. The only upgrade I've done is this windscreen, which does make a huge difference if you're a bit shorter, but because I'm so tall, it still needs to be a bit taller, really. But I'll give you an idea, and you'll probably hear from the wind noise, it might make a difference if I duck down. So ready? I'm assuming that's going to sound a lot better, but it depends. My microphone's really close to my mouth, so it's possible that it might just sound the same. So, but yeah, it does do a good job, and in the rain, it makes a big difference. You know, the rain doesn't hit most of my chest; it only hits the top half of my helmet, and it just beads off. So, yeah, it means I'm not completely soaked when I'm riding in the rain. I was caught out earlier, but I have full waterproofs. But you know, as you can imagine. So yeah, my commute, to give you a bit of a backstory of how I commute and what it's like to commute on. My commute's about 11 miles. It's mainly on 30 to 40 mile an hour roads, mostly 30 mile an hour roads to be fair, but there is a bit of dual carriageway, and that dual carriageway with a 125 makes the world of difference. I did my CBT on a 50cc Yamaha moped. I have never felt anything so slow in my life. I reckon I could have rode a push bike faster than that 50cc bike. It was awful, but it served the purpose. I got my CBT and then I had the 125 waiting at home anyway. So the 125 works really well for the commute. Super good on fuel and just generally really, really easy to ride. No gears, obviously. Left and right brakes are independent for front and rear, and if you push the right handle, that's the front brake, which has ABS, and the left brake is just a rear drum brake, and it's perfectly adequate, if I'm honest. A lot of people will compare it to the NMAX and will say, oh, it needs a rear disc. The bike weighs so little, and with ABS on the front, there is no need for a rear disc brake. In the 600 miles that I've done, I've never once come close to testing the brakes. I always make sure that I ride and anticipate the road ahead, hopefully, so that, you know, Hopefully nobody pulls out on me unexpectedly and stuff, but ultimately the ABS does its job there to make sure that everything is kept under control, especially with the front wheel, which is easily locked up if you've got a bike without ABS, if you just grab the brakes. So here we go, good brake test at this point. There we go, effortless. Yeah. So yeah, the brakes are good. Idle stop will kick in. You'll notice that the green light has started flashing. Just a blip of the throttle and it'll start again. So really the main reason for doing this sort of vlog, I suppose, really, is that there's not many people that I saw that were UK based that were really doing any ride-alongs or, you know, giving people an idea of what this bike was like in real world driving, or riding I should say. There's a lot of like Indonesian, Philippine, some American, some Spanish and stuff like that, but really I just wanted to have a bit of a better idea what this bike was like to live with, and I had to sort of take a bit of a gamble, I suppose, when I bought it. I knew Honda would be good. I knew that they had a good reputation, and I knew that the PCX was listed as one of the top selling scooters in Europe, so I kind of knew I didn't really have a lot to worry about. But it's just reassuring when you can see it in real world conditions, you know. So like, this is real world riding. And okay, it's not rush hour, and that's mainly because I don't really want to record during rush hour, because you're trying to think about what you're trying to say, but also like you need to concentrate on the road. And as a fairly inexperienced rider, I mean, I've been cycling for, you know, over 20 years, but it's kind of important to know. Oh, well, that was kind of you. Bit inconveniencing for everyone else, but never mind. Here we go. So into a de-restricted national speed limit again. Accelerating, again, slight hill, 40 mile an hour, comfortably, very quickly, up to 45. You really lean it into the bends. I mean, it's confidence inspiring. Good tyres, good brakes, that's 60 miles an hour, nice and confidently, nice and comfortably. No real problems with ride quality or anything like that, you know. And I'm catching, well, it's a Honda Jazz, which is not a surprise. I think they're only driven by people over the age of 70, but ultimately, you know, it's a dead easy bike to ride. The one thing I will say as well, and I don't know how long I'll be out, to be honest. I don't know how long the vlog's going to last, but the one thing that makes a huge difference is the LED lights. People really do see you coming. They're so bright, and they have like a big bike look to them. And if I find somewhere to pull over at some point when it's a bit darker, I'll show you, because they do look great. They look really good at night. So yeah. So what else can I say about the bike, really? Well, this is a hands-on review rather than just a walk around, and like the mirrors, hopefully you can see there, they don't vibrate really. I'm doing 45 mile an hour. They're solid as a rock. Same for the other one. The controls are all really easy to use. The brakes are really easy. They're light, but they're really powerful. All the switch gear is really well made. It doesn't feel cheap. Well, it isn't cheap really. I mean, it's £2,900, which is a lot of money still. But it is, you know, a quality bit of kit. Would I consider going up to a Forza 125? Maybe. In 3 years' time, depending on if there's a PCX successor or something, and yeah, that's possible. Or maybe I'll go for my direct access and get maybe like a 300cc scooter or something. I'm certainly not going to do gears, I can tell you that much. My commute is so much more relaxing with an automatic bike, with a CVT transmission. It's so good that I don't see the point in making it any more difficult than it needs to be. And the scooter has so much storage. I basically never have to take a backpack. I don't even have a top box. I can take my laptop, My helmet fits in it to store it during the day, so it's nice and safe. All my locks can go with me. It's just really, really easy to store things, to carry things. I can do little shops on it, mini shops, to like Tesco's or whatever, and it's dead easy. Like, it just swallows stuff up, whereas I know on another motorbike I'd need a top box or whatever, and or try and stuff it under the seat or something, and it just wouldn't be as practical, and it certainly wouldn't be as economical. Like, this is so good on fuel. Like, I've said it before, and I know I keep banging on about it, but if you're looking for a cheaper way to get to work, I appreciate that on a 125 the insurance can be quite expensive depending on how old you are, where you live, how many times they get nicked, that sort of stuff. But I mean, my insurance, to give you a bit of context, I'm 35 this year. I've been driving for 20 odd years or whatever. I don't know how long it is, 18 years, something like that, since I was 17. And I've got a clean driving license. I have had points in the past, but it's clean now. Accidents wise, I did have an accident about 3 years ago in the car. It was a non-fault ideally, but it went down as a 50-50. I won't go on about that. I'm not bitter, honestly. But anyway, so there is a claim on my car policy. But obviously, from a biking point of view, I've got no experience. So I'm on a provisional license, effectively, because I'm riding on a CVT. No claims. So I'm an unknown quantity. And in an area where our car insurance is not that cheap anyway, I pay £650 a year for car insurance with full no claims bonus. I only pay £500 for the bike, for a brand new bike, on a brand new policy, effectively, with no claims and everything like that. So I think it's pretty reasonable, and I'm sure it will drop once I've got no claims and stuff like that, and I've proven that I don't crash. I'm sure it will go down. And for more experienced riders, and if you're already a biker, then obviously you're probably going to have no claims you could use on it if you wanted to anyway. But as a commuting machine, 17 or 18 pounds, I think it is, a year road tax. You're exempt from congestion charges in most clean air zones, apart from the very ultra low things, I think, in London. But I don't live in London, so I don't really care. And they are amazing bikes for the money. Like, they're so cheap. Like, £8 of fuel will take you 250 miles. Like, that's unbelievable. I've got a diesel Ford Focus, and 65 quid's worth of diesel will only get me 500 miles through town. So, it's so much cheaper than a car. And yes, okay, it's not as practical. And yes, okay, you can't store as much or carry as much on it as a car. And yes, okay, it's perhaps not as nice in the rain, but I've already got a car anyway. I'm probably not going to get rid of that for now. I mean, it might happen one day. It is possible. It is crossing my mind that after the first winter, if it's not too bad, then yeah, maybe I might decide that when we come to change a car, we don't change the car. Maybe we change the bike instead, and have a nicer, maybe a Forza or something. I don't know. But I can tell you now that there's no way currently that I'm going to be replacing another car, because we have 2 cars in our household, and I'm not going to be going down that route of replacing another car if I don't need to. So yeah, where shall we go? Shall we head towards Telford? Let's do that. It's down the Rabbit Run. If you're local to the area, or then just come through Himley, and gonna head towards Telford. But yeah, really confidence inspiring. That was a nice big scoot. But yeah, so these sorts of roads, I suppose they're not really conducive to town riding that this bike would do a lot of. And in a future video, I probably will do a bit of town riding to try and make it a bit more realistic for people. I just wanted to show people how capable this is, because a lot of people would underestimate a 125 for use on like roads like this. I wouldn't, obviously, and on a CBT you can't, I wouldn't want to use it on the motorway, because you'd be pretty much the slowest vehicle, barring lorries, and you'd feel quite vulnerable. And you know, the one thing I will say for it is, if it's windy, and my God, is it windy today, it does push you around a little bit. It buffets around, as James May would say, buffeting. So it does buffet, and it does blow around a bit, but it's to be expected. You know, it's so light. If you're in a light car, that happens on some cars. So yeah, but this is, you know, it's a really, really nice bike to ride. And you know, it's comfortably keeping up with the flow of traffic. You know, the car in front of me, he's not exactly pulling away. There's no one behind me. It's nice. And I have to say, as a novice rider, you know, one person that's just gone out for the first time, you know, about 3 months ago riding, it's really liberating. I mean, I've been a keen cyclist for a long time. You know, I've cycled on a lot of things. I've got an e-bike, so you know that can do, like, unofficially 28 mile an hour. I mean, legally on public roads it does 15.5 miles an hour, officer. But that feels great. But this has no effort at all, so this feels even better. And you know, you feel okay, a little bit less disconnected from the environment than on a bike, you know, a cycle, because you're not, you know, you're in a helmet and stuff, but honestly, you just absorb so much more of the scenery and the smells sometimes, unfortunately. But yeah, you really do get the benefit of having a really, really connected experience. You feel like you're really riding. That pub's never been open. Never seen it open. But yeah, so this is like, this could be somebody's commute, you know, from sort of the other side of Telford, if you're in the Midlands, to somewhere like Wolverhampton or Dudley. You might be going down some sort of 60 mile an hour de-restricted national speed limit roads, mixed in with some 40s and 30s. It's competent, you know, it's comfy. I've rode it for over an hour and I've got off and I've not felt stiff or worn out. Like I say, I'm a big guy in terms of size and sort of height and build. I'm not a 5'2" bloke, you know, 10 stone wringing wet sort of thing. I am a big guy in terms of height and weight. So if it feels comfortable for me, and I think that's largely down to how they've changed the rear suspension on this model. The triple suspension springs on the back, they do absorb the bumps nicely. I know that was one of the main complaints that people had of the first and second and third generation PCXs. See, I'm actually being held up by the car now, which is quite interesting. You can see how bright the lights are, hopefully, on the back of his white car. It's not the ideal colour to show a white headlight, but they are bright white, and they are really, really bright. And they're angled nicely at the road, so you can see where you go in and stuff. And all the lights are LED, front and rear. And the side lighting for the indicators and stuff is really good as well. So the chance of someone not seeing you indicating, fairly slim, hopefully. I mean, just ride like everybody's going to kill you. It's probably the easiest thing to do. And then you're not shocked, are you, when somebody decides they're going to pull out on you? That's all I do, really. Filtering through traffic's dead easy on this as well. I'll probably show it later on in another video. Filtering through stationary traffic on the commute home today, dead easy. Really, really straightforward. And because it's quite narrow, it's easy to commute on. It's not really a problem. You can filter through the traffic really comfortably. A top tip, if you're a new rider, try not to dangle your feet for two reasons. First of all, if you catch your foot, it's going to flip inert. Even at like 20 mile an hour, it's still going to come sharp. But also, it's more the fact that if you're dangling your feet, you're actually lowering sort of the bits on the bike that are dangling off, and it's actually harder to ride, I find. So keeping your feet on the footboard, you can always shove them down if you need to, if you have to stop quickly. You know, you're not that far off the ground, but it just makes the bike more manoeuvrable. So And using the rear brake a little bit to just stabilise the bike if you need to can really help with sort of filtering and going through. And just prepare, I suppose, more than anything else, if I was giving you a top tip as a new rider, I suppose just prepare for the fact that some people will be arses. There's not many of them, and I have to be honest, most people are really helpful. Like, they genuinely like get out the way for you, and they, you know, they'll make an effort to move over if they see you. More on that in a minute. But you know, it can be quite a nice experience. People help you out, and you know, as long as you sort of wave and say thank you, then I don't really see the issue. You know, they're quite happy for you to go past. Now, you do have the occasional one where sometimes they either don't see you, which is possible, particularly in bad weather. I don't really filter much when it's raining, to be honest. It's just a bit too risky for my liking. But if you're in poor weather and they don't see you, well, you just need to think where you're positioning. Have you got an escape route from there? If they turn across in front of you or try to change lane, have you got somewhere you can go that's safe? Have you got an escape route? So hopefully you have, and hopefully you don't. It's risk and reward, as I said to somebody who I work with. You know, I can risk going around someone, but it's only worth it if the reward is suitable. You know, if I've got a large chunk of traffic I can get round and it's going to get me to the front of the queue and I'm going to be away and, you know, miss another queue, then it's worth going round the queue if it's safe. If it's going to be one car, there's no point really. It's just going to pee everyone off. And it's the same when I was cycling. You know, it's you just do it. Use common sense really. But yeah, this is a great road to drive on. If ever you've got a really fast car or a fast bike, it's lovely. It's open, sweeping bends, really, really nice road. You can do some stonking speed down here. I mean, look, there's a nice little straight bit here. If you had something like a Ferrari or a Focus RS or anything, God, you could give it some caning down here. But yeah, so I suppose overall, my experience has been really positive. I've been riding since the end of June, so 2 months. So 8 weeks in, not really had any near misses of any amount. Did have a taxi driver that did a U-turn in the road without indicating. Fortunately, I saw his wheels turn before he turned, so I saw him put his full lock on, and I managed to stop before he even moved because I could see he was going to do it. So, but you know, if you perhaps weren't a cyclist, which is what I tend to look for, I look for wheel movement. Then you know, you might not realise. I've never been down here, so let's just have a look. Always a bit risky round by a petrol station. Could be some spilt diesel. Shifnal. Let's go over here. Never been down here. But yeah, so Brockton. Who knew? So yeah, I'm really, really happy with the bike, and I think that probably tells, and you can probably tell that in my first video. You know, the brakes are really, really good. The ride is comfortable. It's amazing on fuel. I mean, I'll admit the fact that Honda should have fitted the taller windscreen out the factory, but I know why they didn't. You know, it looks sportier with the small screen on, and it's a sports scooter in that sense. That's why they kind of. They've styled it as a sports scooter, and putting a massive screen on it doesn't exactly make it look sporty. But you know, again, it's one of those things of you do sometimes just need to have a bit of common sense and know that actually protection from the elements is quite important. So yeah. What I will do, I'll find somewhere suitable to pull over in a minute, and we'll have a quick walk around now that the bike's running and on and stuff like that. And I'll just quickly show you what it looks like with the lights on in sort of a bit duller conditions, because my last video didn't really show the lights off very well. Wasn't particularly impressive because it was glaring bright midday sun. So, and hopefully this video is coming out nicely. It's getting a bit dull and overcast now, and I'm hoping it doesn't rain. Because, God alive, if there's one thing that I don't like, it's rain. I don't mind riding in it, I just can't stand the bloody rain. Well, that probably would have been ideal, but never mind. Right, where am I going? I think we're going, go right then, shall we? Yeah, the lights look a bit better on there now, don't they? Nice open road. Oh, we've woke up now. Here we go. Right then, so I'll try and find somewhere to pull over. And if we get like a parking area or anything, I'll pull over and have a quick walk around the bike, hopefully. And we can pray to God that the video's still running. Because unfortunately my camera, the screen turns off once it started recording to save battery, which is brilliant. But it also means you can't bloody tell if the screen's still on to record. You don't really know if it's recording. So yeah, oh, it's a bloody bumpy road this is. I know I said it was comfortable, but it doesn't iron out all bumps, just like cars. You still get bumps and stuff like that. I will say potholes don't really seem to affect it that badly. Doesn't seem to make a huge amount of difference, to be honest. Oh, hello, Mr. Mercedes. Yerk. That's Yerk as in his number plate, not the fact that he's a jerk. Don't worry. We're only doing 50. He had every right to go round. This bloke's not paying attention, whatever's going on. But anyway, so yeah, I mean it's a very, very nice bike. And I did do a lot of research. It's not like I just went into the dealership and went, "Ooh, that looks good." I did look at the NMAX. I sat on both. I preferred the feel, actually, in terms of the ergonomics of the Honda. And I think that's just going to be a personal preference thing, if I'm honest. I don't think it's going to make any scrap of difference in terms of reliability. Yamaha and Honda have both got excellent reputations. So, yeah. It's quite nice around here. Oh, that would have been ideal, but never mind. There's a Sainsbury's delivery van up my arse. So, can't really go there, but we'll see. There must be somewhere else. Probably end up in Shifnal at this rate. But never mind. Oh, we're here. Look at that. Right, we'll find somewhere. So this is kind of bringing it into its native element, I suppose. 30 mile an hour. Ish. Gotta go that way then. Let's go this way. So even with that that blast down this 60 mile an hour road, it's phenomenal because it's still managing 141.2 miles per gallon. Ooh, Tesla, hello. Right, let's go this way. Oh, go that way actually. Haven't been down here before. This looks a bit quieter. The paddock. That looks quite nice. Just stop in here a bit. Oh, friendly. Let's do a quick viewing. Right then, well, we'll just park up here out the way. It's not like there's any pedestrians at the minute. So, if we pop it on the centre stand, this will give you a bit of an idea, hopefully. If I just check, hopefully we're still on. We are still on. So yeah, you can see here, if I get down quite low, hopefully, you can see that it's quite a nice looking bike, really. And, we have a walk round. We've got a nice looking bike, I think, for a 125, and it does a really good job of exactly what it's meant to do, which is getting people about from one place to another. Probably an opportunity to have a quick look at some of the other bits that you might not have seen that closely. So hopefully you can see, the dash is really clear. It works really, really well. Anyway, probably a good opportunity to wrap up here, and I'll have a ride back and enjoy myself. So again, if you've really liked these first couple of videos, give it a thumbs up, feel free to comment, please subscribe because it really helps make me know that people are enjoying it. And until next time, see you later.